Hello and welcome back to our unit on muscle. In this video, I will be telling you a little bit about smooth muscle. Okay. So first off, I just want to start by saying most of what I'm going to tell you is going to be in contrast with skeletal muscle. Um, and to start with, I just want to start by saying that skeletal muscle has a very stereotyped structure. You look at skeletal muscle in your finger, you look at skeletal muscle in your leg. Um, it's going to have the same basic structure down to the molecular level, and it's going to have the same characteristics. That consistency of structure, that stereotyped structure, has a lot to do with the function of skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle just has one function, which is to contract and bring bones close to each other. Okay. So since we just have one thing that we need to do, we can achieve that with the same structure. However, smooth muscle is very different. You find smooth muscle in a variety of different contexts in your body. So smooth muscle is going to help your pupils constrict. It's going to move food along your digestive tract. It's going to constrict your airways. And those are very different jobs. So to reflect those different jobs, smooth muscle is going to have very different characteristics from location to location. You look at smooth muscle in one location of your body, it's going to be very different from the smooth muscle in another location in your body. Okay, so kind of the big point here is that smooth muscle is going to be really variable. So really different characteristics from one smooth muscle to another smooth muscle. Okay. Um, and yeah, we kind of can't make a lot of generalizations about smooth muscle. Here's an example of that. Okay, so smooth muscle is going to have different electrical properties. So some smooth muscles have these what are called slow wave potentials, where you get just sort of steady increase and decrease in membrane potential with action potentials riding on top of that. Other smooth muscles have this sort of pacemaker potential, which is kind of like a repeating action potential. And there are other electrical properties that we see in other smooth muscles as well. Okay. Smooth muscle comes in kind of two main configurations. The more common configuration is shown here. We call it single unit smooth muscle. We have single unit smooth muscle in the small intestine, as you can see in this figure. Okay. In single unit smooth muscle, we have individual cells. So the smooth muscle cells are individual cells with one nucleus. Okay, so very different from skeletal muscle, where we had our super long muscle fibers that had lots and lots of nuclei in them. In smooth muscle, we have individual cells with single nuclei. And in single unit smooth muscle, those cells are connected to each other by gap junctions. Okay. The gap junctions allow the whole structure, which is made up of all these individual smooth muscle cells, to act as a single unit, right? So you get an electrical signal, a signal to contract in one smooth muscle. That signal is going to spread to the other muscle cells around it, and those are going to contract as well. So that's kind of the idea behind this single unit. Okay. I just want to remind you, these are regulated by the autonomic nervous system. So we have, remember that our autonomic neurons are going to terminate in these varicosities, which are going to release neurotransmitter diffusely across the smooth muscle. So we're going to have sort of a kind of a generalized response from the smooth muscle. The other configuration that we find smooth muscle in is what we call multi-unit smooth muscle. And basically what happens in multi-unit smooth muscle is we have individual muscle cells as before. These are individual cells with a single nuclei, but these cells are not electrically linked to each other. So they don't have gap junctions that connect them together, okay? In this case, what that means is that each cell is basically individually controlled. And this can be advantageous if you want fine-tuned control. In this configuration, every cell has to be very close to a varicosity because it's going to need to be directly controlled. Okay.